He'll be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks, likely sitting until the NBA is through the All-Star break, at least, to the guys at PTI.
All right, Wilbon, what does Anthony Davis's injury mean for the Lakers?
Trouble, Tony. I mean, bigger trouble the longer it goes and the longer he's off the floor. If they can get him back in time for a few games into the playoffs, maybe not so much trouble. They'll still be favored. You still got the MVP in LeBron. But, Tony, you can't do it without your second-best player, without Anthony Davis. Even when you have pieces like Schroeder, who's found a home in a marvelous way, Montrezl Harrell, who came over as a free agent, Horton Tucker, a new kid in the lineup, Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the pieces fit wonderfully. But Anthony Davis is the second piece. And you got a stacked Western Conference out there, and you got to navigate that, and you don't want LeBron to have to play too many minutes. That's been a controversy already. How many minutes is LeBron playing? Well, if he's out there without Anthony Davis, it's going to be too many minutes. So I just as a basketball fan, I hope Anthony Davis is healthy enough to be Anthony Davis by the time the Lakers get to the playoffs.
Okay, so here is what I would worry about. I would worry that this is a chronic injury. Anthony Davis has missed a bunch of games in his career. He's not LeBron. Nobody is LeBron. He's missed games. He gets hurt. Got hurt a little bit in New Orleans, gets hurt a little bit with the Lakers. I would worry that this is something that he'll play a little bit and it'll get hurt again. And then it'll be like Kevin Durant, where they said of Kevin Durant that he had a high ankle sprain. The next thing you know, it was his Achilles and he was out for a full year. They're saying this is a calf strain. This could be the next thing you know, it's an Achilles and he's out for a whole year. And I wonder about this. Again, not with LeBron. Anthony Davis played deep into the fall, it seems, right?
Yes, he
That's
did.
when they ended. And his turnaround time was very, very minimal. And he goes out there and the way he plays, maybe that is too much of a strain. So I would not be optimistic about this because, look, they cannot win without him.
No,
he wasn't on the team a couple of years ago. They didn't even make the playoffs. They can't
Tony,
win. Simple.
If we
He's
ask
got to
who
play
the
and be good.
best, if we ask who the best number 2 player is, the best second-best player in the NBA, with all due respect to the new threesome in Brooklyn, aren't we going to agree it's Anthony Davis?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to agree about that. Yes, certainly.
They need him. They need him.
And we'll see when they get him. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. SportsCenter All-Night ESPN Radio. Kyrie Irving, 40 points. Shooting guard!
Gotta say, when it rains, it pours. You guys set a franchise record with 27 made three-pointers in this game.
The common belief all along when the Nets put together this potent roster, offense wouldn't really be an issue. WFAN, Yes Network, 7 players hitting three-pointers last night, and everyone who hit from 3 hit for at least 2 of them. They hit 27 overall as a team. Kyrie Irving leading the way with 40 points. Nets a 136-125 win over the Kings. Kyrie Irving, of course, over the weekend coming out and publicly saying that he simply told James Harden, Harden's the point guard. Case closed. ESPN's Malika Andrews.
Well, Joe Harris told me this morning that at shoot-around, they discussed it briefly as a team, and their mentality right now is that they need to focus on building camaraderie with the people, with the players that they actually have available on the court. They can't keep thinking about what if we had Kevin Durant in this game or what if we had another player in that game. They're getting used to rolling with these punches because, as you said, the Nets' big 3 have only played 7 games together thus far this season. And on Friday, in Kevin Durant's first practice since he came back from that week-long hiatus in the health and safety protocols, he told me that he'd hoped to use this road trip, this 5-game West Coast road trip, to build camaraderie, to build chemistry on the court. But now that's going to have to wait a little bit. The Nets have used 18 different starting lineups this season.
Wow, that's kind of mind-boggling, really. But one thing they do seem to have figured out, Malika, are the backcourt roles between James Harden and Kyrie Irving really coming in to focus over the weekend. So, Malika, I'm sure you've gotten to the bottom of this. I mean, has this been actually a running conversation between the two, or was it really just a very quick, short, I'm the one, you're the two conversation?
Well, what do you think, Hannah? This has been a running conversation that they've had over the course of the season. And Kyrie Irving said that this wasn't a mystical conversation that they had, where they sat down and hashed out all the details. It's been a running discussion that they've kind of had all year long, but then they hammered it out in that brief discussion that Kyrie Irving just talked about at a practice. In fact, when James Harden first joined the Nets, Steve Nash said that James came to him and said, look, I am willing to do whatever it takes to make this work. Remember, the question when James Harden was traded to the Nets was, there's only one ball. How is this going to work with all of these players that need the ball in their hands? And this is their answer for that. And so far, it has been working, and they're looking to build on that now as they continue this road trip.
Offense is working. 136 points last night in the win over Sacramento. Kings, though, did score 125. SportsCenter Allnight, ESPN Radio. From the Nets to the Knicks. What is going on there?
Barrett. Into the corner goes Durant. Two to shoot. All-the-way jumper. Got it to go. He was well behind the backboard and nails it. 42 for Randall.
98.7 ESPN New York. Knicks 123 points in a win over Atlanta. 123-112. Third straight win for New York. Julius Randle, 44 points. Second most in a game in his career. One shy of his career high. Trae Young, 23 in the loss for the Hawks. Warriors rolling over the Cavs on Monday.
Curry gets cut off by Garland. Gives up the dribble to JTA. Draymond up top, Mulder screens for Curry. Curry gets open. Three ball good. You knew it was going in as soon as he released it. His seventh of the night.
95-7 the game. Warriors a 129-98 rout of the Cavaliers. Steph Curry, 36 points. He hits 13 of his 19 shots. Draymond Green, 16 assists to tie a career high. Now, hold that thought for a moment on Draymond Green, since it ties in with this. Blake Griffin's going to be sitting while the Pistons mull their options, either trading him or buying out his contract. Likewise in Cleveland, Cavs aren't playing Andre Drummond as they try to trade him. He didn't play Sunday, nor did he play Monday in the loss to the Warriors, Cleveland's 8th consecutive loss. And after that game, Golden State's Draymond Green went off.
To watch Andre Drummond before the game sit on the sideline, then go to the back, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him is bull. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue.
Sources telling ESPN Cleveland is starting to gauge the trade market for Drummond, but no serious ongoing discussions with any team at this point, yet he is still sitting. He and Blake Griffin, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski.
The Pistons are moving toward a rebuild, starting to play their younger players, and so Blake Griffin will wait for either a trade or presumably a contract buyout. He's owed over $50 million with 2 years this year and next year left on his deal. That's going to be difficult to trade. There is a market for Blake Griffin's skills, but I think between his agent and the Pistons, ultimately they're going to have to find a number that he could walk away at to be able to become a free agent if they're not able to get a trade done here.
Okay, how about Andre Drummond? What's the latest surrounding him?
Similar circumstances. He's in the last year of his deal. Cleveland's moving toward Jared Allen as their future center. And now Drummond will step away. Cleveland will look for a trade. There's been no buyout contract talks yet. But Drummond, 17.5 points, 13.5 rebounds this season. There are a lot of teams, including Brooklyn, that might love a chance to acquire Drummond. Doing it in a trade is going to be difficult. But he's got a significant market. That's going to play out here as we move closer to that March 25th trade deadline.
As for the market for those two, ESPN analyst Matt Barnes.
I think a healthy Blake Griffin is very desirable. Now, is he 100% healthy? I'm not sure. I think gone are the Lob City days of Blake Griffin, but, like Woj pointed out, he still has worked on his game and is an efficient offensive player, so he can definitely help a playoff contending team down the stretch. I agree. I think most likely it's going to be in the buyout space considering how much money he's still owed. But Blake could still definitely contribute to a team that's going to try to make a run for a championship.
Matt, which team, you get to play fantasy GM, which team is a good fit for Andre Drummond?
I think to be able to go where Jared Allen came from. If he can, tighten up that front line over in Brooklyn and split time with DeAndre Jordan. I think that would be a good fit. Drummond still has, a lot left in the tank. I just think him understanding what his game is. I think he needs to understand that he's a rebounder, a shot blocker, a lob catcher, and a paint protector, and kind of stick with that and go with that. Big body, still has some, a lot of juice left, so it'll be interesting to see where he lands. But I also agree, I think it'll be a buyout situation. Although he is in his last year of his contract, to me it looks like a buyout situation. But he can definitely, again, similar to Blake Griffin, similar to Kevin Love, can help a team that's contending for a title if healthy.
Drummond and Griffin, we'll see where the two of them wind up in the coming days and weeks. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of sitting, there's Duke freshman Jalen Johnson. The school's saying he is opting out for the season to prepare for the NBA draft. This is not opting out, says ESPN analyst Seth Greenberg and LaFonso Ellis.
You have a responsibility to your teammates who you built a brotherhood with. To leave at this time during the season, that's disappointing if I'm his teammate.
Look, here's the deal. If you're cleaning out your locker, you're quitting the team.
Yeah.
Right? That's the deal. You could opt out and say, you know what, right now I'm not 100%. My question is, then why was he playing in those two prior games?
Yes.
If he was injured, he shouldn't have played in those two games. To me, he didn't opt out. He quit.
Opt out, quitting, either way he's not playing, and it may be taking a fine-tooth comb to the vocabulary in the situation. Earlier on ESPN Radio on Freddie and Fitzsimmons.
Freddie, this is not opting out. This young man quit on his team.
I disagree, and here's why I disagree. Because Coach K put out this statement. While we are encouraged by what we are seeing medically, for Jalen's future, we believe this decision is in his best interest. We are ultimately careful with every one of our players and will continue to support Jalen as he progresses toward his goal of playing professional basketball. He deserves to be fully healthy for the upcoming NBA draft. That's why I don't believe he quit. He's looking out for his best interest, which is what you do when you go to college. You go to college to get an education and to make sure that you're fortified once college is done. This is Jalen's way of fortifying himself once college is done. Now, we can play, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong in your opinion, because there are plenty of people that share your sentiment. If there was not a statement from Coach K, then I'm with you. Oh, yeah, he did quit on his basketball team. But the fact that in his statement, Jalen's statement, he said, my family, Coach, and I have made the decision. That means Coach Meister-Shevsky was on board with this. And Meister said, look, I'd rather you stay, but if this is in the best interest of you, if I'm Meister-Shevsky, I'd rather a player not being here who doesn't want to be here and have players that buy in. So, yeah, you can say he quit. Like I said, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I don't believe he quit based on the statement that Coach K put out on Twitter regarding Duke basketball.
I don't think Coach K is ever going to torch a player, especially during a pandemic. There's no way that a guy like Coach K or any coach right now is going to crush a player during a pandemic. What's going on with these guys mentally, physically, it is a grind, especially mentally. But I'm just looking at history, and I understand why Coach K is putting that out there. He could still be a part of this team. He could still remain with the squad and just not play. That's opting out to me.
I hear you.
This young man, and I hate to crush an 18, 19-year-old, but to me, when you look at the last three games not starting, and then a fourth game and only playing 8-9 minutes, he said, he pulled a ripcord like he's jumping out of a plane. I'm out of here.
Kind of agree with Ian there. Coach K is certainly not going to throw anybody under the bus at this point. But in terms of what it is, you signed on to be part of this Duke team, but now your team's at 500. You're going to have to battle just to make the NCAA tournament. The decision was made to renege on that commitment to the team. My gut tells me that if the Duke team was in a different position, that it's a different discussion and a different decision is being made if Duke is in the top 5 in the nation. Speaking of rankings, there's a new number 1. That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues at ESPN Radio.
We're back on Tuesday.